This is the Dark Horse Johnny Moran, and you are listening to Wrestle Fandom Radio.
I was muted. Oh,
can you hear me now?
Back. There we go.
Can you hear me?
See, I'm still learning. Luckily, Z's here.
And now we just lost.
You know.
There it goes.
It's all right. It just came back.
All right, we're good.
It's good.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties.
Folks.
That's my bad.
Yeah.
That's me right there.
Well, maybe if you focused on the computer instead of shining that pretty little belt of yours.
Well, you know what? I'm still the champ. I mean, what do you want? You know, I won it fair and square. Again, I won it fair and square. So it is what it is. So yeah, it's my belt, and I'll wear it when I want, Joe.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's true.
Whatever.
So all right, but yeah, we're back. Thank you for tuning in to Wrestle Fandom Radio. We want to shout out to our sponsors, who we appreciate very much. Obviously, we wouldn't even be a show without you. Yeah, so if you look right up there we go. There. We got Rockin Horse Tattoo just joined with us, so we super appreciate. Go hit them up. They are in New Hartford, right next to Big Apple Music.
Right.
I can't think of the rest of the people's names, but hit up, definitely Josh, because he's the man. He's the best. And Mike, I don't know if you remember Mike Davis is also there. So yeah, go in, tattoos, piercings, hit them up. Dippin Donuts, 3 locations around the area.
2 in Rome.
2 in Rome, and then the one in New Hartford.
One in New Hartford, yeah.
If you've never had their food, you are literally missing out. The best donuts in the entire world.
Donuts the size of my head. Yeah, coffee's out of this world.
Yeah. The breakfast sandwiches. I mean,
oh my God, yeah.
My
gyros, whatever. Yeah.
My favorite is the
there. Like, what donut shop is baklava? You know, like
exactly. You're lucky that Greeks own it. So
yeah, right?
yeah. So yeah, hit them up, and then seasonal sports. If you need anything for any type of printing, you need a wrap on your car. You need hats, shirts. For leagues, for anything, you hit them up. Seasonal Sports on Oriskany Boulevard. They're just the absolute best. They're the quality stuff, and we even have a store through their website.
Right.
So hit them if you want some Wrestle Fandom gear. Hit up their store. You'd be helping them. You'd be helping us. You'd be helping yourself.
I'm so waiting for you to come up with your champion T-shirt there, Garrett.
Well, I mean, maybe I'll let the run go a little longer. Solidify it, get it cemented, and then
Garrett Mania.
Have a nice T-shirt that looks like. It is what it is, Joe. It is what it is. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then a couple other announcements before we get into any wrestling news is I know last week we talked about how we were going to be at the inauguration show.
Right.
Thing. So an inauguration show is still happening, but a different company is putting it on.
Correct.
So the production company that was doing it had to back out of the actual wrestling show themselves. So my into that show kind of went out the door.
Right.
So, I mean, that guy still work. Mike still gets to work it. He still gets to do his stuff, but I don't have, as
we won't be there is what we're saying.
We won't be there,
right. But the show's still going on. If you can go to it,
go
to it. Support
go to the whole
it.
weekend.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
Like, it looks like they still haven't announced the exact lineup yet, but I know within the next day or two they're going to. And if you're able to go to any part of it, go.
Yeah, I'm still trying to go to the show. I just obviously, we're not going to be working the show.
Sadly.
So I don't have, just because of time constraints and deals I already made, it's like, I haven't tried to get in with any of the other local wrestling companies. It's like, if we were bigger, as a production, I could be like, yeah, we'll be at every single show, but it's baby
steps, G. Baby steps.
Yeah, it's not happening. And then the other thing is so Wrestle Fandom Radio is going to run 3 out of the 4 weeks of the month.
Correct.
And once a month, Joe and I are going to completely switch formats.
Right. We're doing a little spin-off.
It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be pure insanity. It's going to be a show called Movie Madness. If you're watching this, you may have gotten the invite for the Facebook page.
Yeah, I sent a bunch of them out, and what basically the idea is everybody knows the March Madness brackets. You put up the teams, you pick your bracket, and maybe you win. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a movie genre, like the first episode's going to be 80s slasher, and we're going to take 24 movies that we feel that represent the genre. We're going to figure out a seating for it, put it in a seating generator, and we're going to create a bracket of it. And then me, G, and then each genre, each episode, we're going to have a different person with us.
Yes, we are.
And we're going to discuss the matchups. And at the end of the episode, we are going to have a champion of that genre.
Yep.
And in my hopes, after we do about 24 of these episodes, the 25th, we're going to take the champs from all the genres,
exactly,
put it together, and have a massive bracket.
Yeah,
and that'll be season 1, and then we'll keep going on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And so I put a post out today. What kind of genres you guys want to see? I saw my man D. Sherman. He said 90s comedies. That's definitely another good genre for us to tackle.
Yeah, and definitely, if you can, if there's any way to get more specific when you say it. So for right now, the 3 months that we have set up, next week's is going to be Slasher.
Right.
And one of our sponsors, Fred Marriott, is going to be on with us doing the Slasher episode.
Correct.
And to be more specific, so it's like, okay, yeah, we could do like horror movies, but like all slashers are horror movies, but not all horror movies are slashers.
Right.
So that's in the way that we're going to break things down when that show comes up. And
like at some point we're going to do like the MCU movies, those will be all, and we're going to try not to repeat movies and crossover genres and stuff. So like once we've kind of used the flick in a genre, we're going to kind of keep it designated to that drama, because we want to touch upon as many movies as possible,
right?
And give every flick its fair shot at the gold, you know?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So tune in next week, same time. Actually, not same time. We will be switching from now on to Wednesdays at noon. So same time of the day, different day of the week. So Wednesdays at noon is when, from now on, after next week, when all the shows will
if you can't make it for the live stream, it's always going to be on YouTube. It'll be on Facebook. Check it out then. Yeah. Give us likes. Yeah. Tell your friends.
If you watch the D stuff, you know where to find it. So, Tommy's on. Tommy Borgia. What's up, Tommy? So please tune in. That show is just going to be the most, maybe some of the most fun anyone has ever had online.
Absolutely.
So what are we getting into this week, man?
Well, you got anything for me? Because I got a couple things.
You know what? Why don't you take it? Let's see what you got.
Well, first thing I want to do is I want to shout out two of the greats, Mr. John Cena and Mr. Dwayne Johnson. They have the number 1 and number 2 movies worldwide right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Cena's got it number 1 with Suicide Squad.
Did you watch Suicide Squad?
Oh, absolutely.
He was fantastic. He's really underrated as an actor. They both are. I think because they were both wrestlers at first, I don't feel they get their fair shot.
I feel like Dwayne initially was underrated. Now, like they say he's like a Viagra for the franchise. Like he rebooted Fast and Furious. You know
really
what I mean?
Did.
Like he added that next level to it. And like Cena, his comedic timing, him and Idris Elba in that movie, the way they played off of each other was absolutely phenomenal. And like the plot and everything, real basic plot, whatever. The actors carried it. James Gunn directed the absolute shit out of that movie.
Yeah, he did.
It was phenomenal. And actually, I've seen Jungle Cruise also. I watched it with the kids.
Yeah.
It was a better Disney movie than most. And like it had a couple of adult things here and there, but it definitely had like a very Indiana Jones vibe to it.
Oh, okay.
It was very, very cool. And like Dwayne can act himself out of a cardboard box and make it look good. Like the man is good. He's come a long way. And segueing with The Rock there, I have a quote here from Mr. Paul Heyman, and it's in regards to all the rumors about WrestleMania 38 being at Roman versus The Rock, which I think might be how it goes. But Heyman said this: if The Rock steps in the ring with Roman Reigns at any time, let alone WrestleMania, that will be The Rock's farewell, whether The Rock wants it to be or not. And I think they're leading towards who's the real Samoan tribal chief kind of thing. Like that the writing's on the wall there.
Right.
They just have to go from now to Mania, which they possibly can, because if you don't have The Rock return until after Royal Rumble, then you have a nice little setup for it. You have Reigns have his little continue on with his run now. I think, honestly, Heyman might be right. Like, it might be The Rock's last in-ring, one-on-one bout, because Rock's, 50 years old now?
I think so.
He's in probably the best shape of his life.
Yeah.
But we all know, if you watch wrestling, like, if you're not doing it every week, there's a difference between being in shape and being in wrestling shape.
Yeah.
And if you, like, look at Triple H, the last 2 or 3 matches he's tried to come back for, he's torn his bicep, he's ripped this and everything else, and the man's in great shape, better shape than you and I.
Oh, yeah, it's street fight. I mean, he could still pop my head off my neck any day of the week.
It's same like with football players or hockey players, anybody. If you're not constantly doing that sport, it's way easier for you to get injured. So The Rock, it could be his final match if that's what they decide to do.
Right.
And honestly, I personally, I've told the story on here when I came on here a few years ago about why I don't like Mr. Roman Reigns. Right. But his run right now is really the only thing WWE has that's actually interesting, in my opinion.
Right. With
all the cuts and everything that they've done, it might be a great way for The Rock to go out.
It could be, yeah.
And I'd hate to see it, because The Rock is on my personal Mount Rushmore. Like,
right. But everyone has their time. And
absolutely.
It's like he can't just come back and always be on top.
Right.
You know
and
I
I absolutely agree.
I
agree with
that. It's an unfortunate eventuality.
Right, and almost like Stone Cold. Stone Cold, he would come back, and it's been less frequent. Now they got him with his podcast on the WWE Network, which is on Peacock, guys. Subscribe if you want.
Yeah.
We're not getting paid for that.
Yeah,
but,
we're not getting paid. Should, but we're not.
Because he physically can't do it. Like Stone Cold, I'm sure would love to come have one more great match, but guess what? I think he does one more real stunner to somebody, and he'll probably not be walking for 2 weeks. Let's be honest. Him doing a stunner to Byron Saxton on was Raw 25, Raw 30, whatever it was probably the last stunner you're probably going to see him give.
Yeah.
It's a horrible eventuality, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it has to be. It's
right.
a thing that just has to be. It's unfortunate, but it's like you got to say goodbye.
And the other thing that I'm kind of excited for this Friday, 10 o'clock, AEW Rampage.
The new Rampage. Do you think, so with all the things, the releases, do you think that they were like quick fire trying to make some extra things happen for I'm going to assume it's live, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What I don't think it's so much that. I think they're just trying to get more content on there, because so I'll touch back on Rampage in a second, but with the releases he's talking about, NXT just cut, I think, 14 people,
which is
insane, because NXT is a great product.
Yeah, it's long been the best WWE product.
Consistently, yes.
Yeah.
And the biggest rumor that's come out of this is this was not a Triple H, Shawn Michaels move. They had no say in it. It came from the top. It came from Vince. It came from John Laurinaitis and Vince's little inner circle. They want to retool NXT back to what it was back in the day, the farm league. And the quote from Vince was, "No old people or midgets." So it was anybody over 30. Guess what? You don't got a shot. And if you're not 6'4", guess what? You're not going to get a push.
But those are all those are the best wrestlers on
Well, like,
that show. You know what I mean?
Which
Like,
blows my mind because over the last few years, NXT has brought up all these indie guys. Your Kevin Owens, you know what I mean? Like your Sami Zayn's, like,
Ricochet,
even like Rick Rude, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or Robert Roode.
Robert Roode.
Yeah, Robert Roode. My bad. And you had these like guys from the indies who were tearing it up on the indies who don't fit that prototype of the like the John Cena prototype. You know what I mean? They don't fit that.
right.
But they're tearing the roof down. Like AJ Styles, like he skipped NXT, but he's like a perfect example of that. He has been one of the greatest wrestlers in the world for years, and it took him until he was like 33, 35 years old to get to WWE.
Right.
And like you got to realize, like, yeah, the big guys are great. Like you got your Omos and like your Braun Strowmans, who are awesome to see these huge dudes like do these great feats of strength. But it's also like great to see AJ Styles doing a triple whatever off the top rope. And like, it blows my mind that that's Vince's mentality, considering Shawn Michaels was his darling for over a decade. Like, Shawn Michaels made the Attitude Era. Like, you had your big guy with Triple H, but then you had his counterpart there.
Yeah.
And just going back to that old mentality, like, oh, we're just going to have big guys. Guess what? They're not going to fill the seats that you want.
Yeah.
And
That's like, it's like we said last week. He's got to let go of the reins. He's got to ease up, because he's just gonna drive more people to AEW.
Absolutely.
if he's killing NXT.
Like, look, like Darby Allin doesn't fit that, and Darby Allin's tearing it up. Like,
especially with Sting in his corner.
Right. Like, and that's one of the other things I wanted to say. Like, so in the first time, and I think I posted it on the Facebook page. First time in 20 years, Sting's going to be in a wrestling match on TNT.
Right.
Like that's crazy, and he's doing it with Darby Allin, who kind of like is this generation's Sting. Like, he
sticks with it. Yeah.
Right, and like I love his gimmick. He has that like vigilante, like almost like kind of Crow-esque with the painted face and like the quiet and everything else. Like, he, instead of a baseball bat, he's got a skateboard. Like, like, it's, they fit very, very well. It's almost like a Batman and Robin kind of vibe, and like, it's awesome.
Right.
Like, you need the old with the new. Like, and you can't. Everybody just can't be cookie cutter the same thing, and that's, and like, if you look at WWE's financial stuff, like, they've actually had one of the best years that they've had over the last year. And because they have saved, like, even though they haven't got the income from the live shows, they've saved a lot of money with the live shows. Because let's be honest, how much money do you think they're actually making when they come to the Utica Odd and they have a half-filled arena? Like,
but I mean, just the production money out alone to just tear everything down and move it.
Right.
Like, that's manpower, that's time, that's da-da-da. Like, when you're in one place and you're still pulling in all the revenue from online, you still got to be making money.
It's not like merch hasn't been selling. Merch has been moving. Like, people, and you have more people subscribing to the network when they had the network. Like, you had people still tuning in, because guess what? People can't do much anything else.
That was their moment, and that was their time to revamp a lot when they should have, and they didn't.
No,
that was their they should have. I don't know. There was way more that they should have done. They should have broken up more.
Absolutely, they had the opportunity,
and they didn't.
No, because they, just like the rest of America, they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know how to proceed, because they didn't know how long everything was going to go on.
Right.
And they tried, like, with the Rob Gronkowski nonsense at WrestleMania. Like, his contract lasted, what, like 6 months? And he had one real appearance? Like, it was stupid. It was trying to pull in people that don't normally watch. But if you focus on what you got, like, honestly, they need to start, like, looking at AEW as true competition and maybe start taking a couple pages out of their book, because it wasn't until they started with letting their Stone Colds and the Rocks, like, be them, that they won those Monday Night Wars.
Right.
And let me tell you what, Tony Khan's not going to run out of money like Turner did.
Yeah.
So if you really want to compete with it, you got to change. Like, your practices and everything aren't going to, like, this isn't the 70s, 80s, 90s, even early 2000s. Like, you're not the only shop in town anymore.
Yeah.
And it really says a lot to me when you have like I said it last week, real mainstays, real company guys jump ship because they're not happy with the way you've been treated. Like in like the last night, Jericho and had a no rules match against Nick Gage last night.
Right.
And it had 1.2 million people watching it.
Right.
It was like the most viewed no holds barred match ever, and it was awesome.
Right.
Like you're not gonna see that in WWE anymore.
No.
I get it. He wants to have that whole family friendly, yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, it's wrestling. Like
right.
it's literally like it's choreographed, you know, storylines, whatever. But you're pitting two people in a fight. Like it's not really geared toward children. And guess what? Even if you keep it PG-13 and a little risque, it's gonna make kids want to watch it more.
Right.
I know when I was a kid, like I doing the Attitude Era and everything else. I was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. Guess what? That's what oh my God. And then kids get that feeling like, oh, I shouldn't be watching this. But guess what? They're not telling me not to. I'm not going to tell them what's on TV. Like, let it roll. Let me see some blood. Let me see somebody get smacked upside the head with a chair. Like, this is stuff that makes wrestling wrestling. Like, not this watered down nonsense. Like, you got, Raw this week. Randy Orton came
I watched
back.
it. It was
okay. Randy Orton, and I like the beginning. Randy Orton coming back.
kind of boring. Like, yeah, I mean, Randy Orton. That stuff was all right.
That was cool. Like Styles coming in, but then you hit the Baron Corbin thing. Like, it really stuck out to me because it was just a repeat of the Heath Slater stuff from a few years ago. Like, oh, I need the money, like my wife and kids, blah blah blah. And you got this guy who balding like myself, who normally just shaves his head down. You have him wearing a shirt with a fake mustard stain on it. Like, he working for money, from Jinder Mahal. And you can tell they're doing an India push again. Because all of a sudden, Jinder's pushed into the main card.
Yeah.
Again, Baron Corbin, not my favorite wrestler. Very good wrestler.
Right.
Very, very good heel. What are you doing? And the only thing I liked...
For him personally, I like that shtick way better than the King Corbin stuff.
I like the Lone Wolf thing he did in the
Lone Wolf
that
thing was my favorite that he did. I liked that.
The King Corbin, the same thing as when it was King Barrett. Anybody who's ever had
King
of the Ring. Yeah, see, King Booker, I love. King Booker.
Yeah. Well,
that was awesome.
Because it was the first one, it was okay, but the rest of
well, actually, the first one was Lawler.
Well, that's true.
Lawler
that
ran
was
with that King
that was his whole gimmick.
Right.
Booker just did it as okay, he won, and then
but he ran with that for a while,
driving into it, to be a douche, essentially,
and the whole King Barrett before him, and then King Corbin, that was whatever. What struck me very, very weird during that. So you had Corbin I need the money, Jinder Mahal, I'm gonna. But then you had Drew McIntyre cut into this promo that was this really heartfelt thing about how his sword's named after his mom because his mom had cancer, and then he even said on there he's the doctors told my mom that she should abort me, but she didn't. The promos didn't go together. I love McIntyre's the meaning and everything behind it.
The story was fine. The story is good, but it's just it
didn't fit with that.
At the moment.
I'm homeless, and then he's well, I named my sword after my dead mother. Which was he's got this whole King Arthurian thing going right now, which I'm not really feeling. No,
he doesn't need it.
No, him as a heel was great. Him as a he can play both sides very, very well. But this extra layer with the sword, almost a little too much for me. And not feeling it at all. And it just. Again, it's this watered down hit or miss product, which is missing their shots more time than not.
And now he's even out of the running, and and Lashley has the belt, and the whole no one can stop Bobby Lashley. It's what are we doing?
The Almighty.
You're already doing that. You're already doing that same thing with Roman.
Right.
Why are you doing it on Raw too? It's no. If you're gonna have a big guy like him, keep your other big guys all up in the running, and and
put the belt on Orton, put the belt on Styles, put it on anybody else. Now, like, I know I'm not saying anything against Lashley. I think his run for him right now is fine. It's how they handle it. It's how the rest of the product handles it. I agree.
And like, sure, him being a champ is an eventuality, but I think maybe no one should stop him, and it should be Big E. Personally.
Well, and that's what I was just going to lead into.
Well, wait, it's Big E? Yeah, it's Big E. Because it should have been Big E a long time ago.
And I can see Big E coming back to Raw.
Yeah.
Like, and have it, like Big E deserves it more than anybody right now. And,
Absolutely.
like, especially after Kofi Mania, you got Big E push in. Like, there's something there. And, like, I think the pop you're going to get when Big E's going to win the title, because if he doesn't win the title, it's going to be a huge misstep on WWE's. Like, in their writing room, like, they should all probably go out and play in traffic if they don't put the belt on him.
Yeah.
Because, like, you have a free gimme there. You have somebody who has worked his ass off since NXT, who's been part of arguably the best stable in the last 10 years for the company.
Yeah, not even arguably the best stable.
And, like,
you know what I mean?
The longest running tag team champions. And, like, people from me to my kids, like, anytime that music hits, my kids go right into it. Don't be sour. You hear it. Like, and, like, as annoying as they can be at times, but they can be hysterical and they can be serious. Like, they can, and all three of those dudes throw down.
Yeah.
They go 110% every time, and whatever they're given with, they make it work.
Yeah.
Put the belt on Big E. Just do it. I'm tired of Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is a very one-dimensional guy.
He is one-dimensional. But that's why it's good that he's in a stable, too, because MVP can talk for days.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so it's good that because some wrestlers, no matter how great they are in the ring, no matter what they do, they're going to need a mouthpiece. Like,
absolutely.
As great of anything as Brock Lesnar is, he needs a mouthpiece.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he just, it even works. The same thing can then be said as working better with Roman Reigns.
Well, because I like that, because Roman's not good for long promos.
Yeah.
Roman can do the 1-3 lines, like, set it and, like, mean it and, like make it work. Where you got Heyman as the hype. He's the Flava Flav of that.
Heyman,
he can hype it up all day long.
Yeah.
And then you have Roman.
He can hype
like,
anything.
Roman does the look, and he's like.
Although I gotta say, I caught a random, not random promo, but I caught a promo when I had turned on SmackDown one time, and it was the match after. I think him and one of the twins had an I Quit match or something like that.
Yes.
And he used the injured one.
Correct. To make the other one quit,
because he wouldn't quit.
That was at the beginning of it,
which was great, right? And I can't remember which one's injured and which one was first. Okay, but he's in the ring, the SmackDown after that match, and he's like yelling at Roman, like, "How could you use my own brother as that you faked us out and you did that?" And he's screaming at him. And normally the way that the Usos talk kind of annoys me. Not the way they talk, but it's like I feel like I know that they are street guys, and that's mostly how they talk, but they feel like they dial it up.
Right, absolutely.
A little too much, but then one of them even his voice like cracks and screeches all the time, and it annoys the crap out of me because when you hear him talk normally, it's like he doesn't do that.
Right.
You know, but he was screaming at Roman, and it was perfect. And because it felt real. It felt real.
Right.
And then like Roman like stops and he's like, "You're mad because I did that?" He's like, "Of course I did it. Like, you know, why wouldn't I do it?" Right. And it was like, it was almost chilling because it felt like a real argument. And I was like, this is fantastic. I was like, these two dudes just cut their personal best promos in their entire career. I don't know if anyone else watching it realizes it, but they just did it. And it was great.
And that, great. That match, like that whole match itself, like was fantastic because these are guys that literally grew up together. They played football growing up together. They've done everything together. Their careers have mirrored each other, and a lot of times they're paired up together, like, you know, as a group. And this now, like, almost as Roman's bullied them into submission to be like, you know, there'll be a turn down the road, and like it's gonna break up the whole tribe, but it's what it should be, like that drama, and like being able to play off of people, the real personal things. And that's sometimes where WWE has really failed, but there have been times where they've really been successful with the personal drama and stuff. Like, the way they failed was when Hardy got busted for his umpteenth DWI. So then they had a whole thing where somebody stole a car, got hit by a car or whatever, and Hardy got drugged. And so they were like, oh, he was drunk, he was driving the car, blah. Or it was really like Sheamus that like orchestrated the whole thing because of his history or whatever. And like, to me, that was kind of done in bad taste. Like, dude's got real problems outside the ring and stuff. Okay, like, I get it. He's trying to be clean. Don't use that as your like your there's other ways to go. Whereas two cousins and Roman, like that's something that pops, like, and it works. And like, even with the Cena Roman thing headed towards SummerSlam, I think this is great because like it is, in a sense, somebody passing the torch. Because after Stone Cold and The Rock left, guess what? Cena's the one who carried that ship for a very, very long time. Love him or hate him, he was that main event guy. Yeah. And same with Roman. Love him or hate him, he's finally, after all these years of being pushed down our throat, turning into the person that we want, that we need, whether we love him or hate him. Right. And I hope down the road, like, you have them revisit the Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns stuff. And, like, whenever they figure Seth back out to being what he's supposed to. Yeah, of course. But, like, I think it's going to lead with Cena because first you had Taker passing torch to Roman. Now you're going to have Cena passing it, and it's going to accumulate and solidify Roman as a wrestler with WrestleMania and The Rock passing that torch. Because he would be the last one for him to, like, because, like, if you have Taker, John Cena, and Roman Reigns co-signing on the check of you, fans are going to listen to that. It gives some legitimacy behind him. And as much as I don't like the dude, like, he's going to be that dude to carry it. Yeah, he really is, though. You're right. And it's just, there's not. Do you think anyone else should be in, like, the tribe, or or just the three of them, or? Honestly, like, I could, like, see them bringing in, like, Tamina or, like, Nia Jax, somebody like that, in who's got the Samoan heritage, just to have a female counterpart. But I think the three of them work right now because if you think about it, they're kind of like the evil New Day. Right. Like, it's really what they are. Right. Which works out very, very well. That's why I think another reason why having, well, that would be bring the other two back to SmackDown and send up a Big E versus Roman thing. But I think right now that would be bad if they're headed towards Rock versus. Right. You know what I mean? But, like, because the Usos and the New Day have had phenomenal matches against each other. Right. And I think probably some of each other's best matches. Absolutely. Because, like, when you got, like, Kofi and Woods, who are physically very, very similar to the Usos, and then you got Roman and Big E, who are the big guys of it, like, you got the good kind of sells itself. That's good versus evil. Like, and you have the Usos win, or, like, you know, like, the tribe win the first one, and then, like, the back and forth. Yeah. Like, that's a half a year, full year long program that writes itself right there. Yeah. But you'd have, if The Rock is really going to do WrestleMania 38, like, you'd have to wait for after that. Right. And so you might have something where Roman's got the SmackDown, Big E's got the Raw, and they come head to head again. Right. So Big E just got the briefcase, right? Yeah. Okay. Like a month ago. Yeah. So if Roman holds it out all the way to Mania and then beats The Rock, solidifies himself in, and then celebrates, do you think and then let's say Big E's going to be the next guy, do they pull the trigger at Mania, or do they wait till SmackDown when they're having like their some type of celebration? The way I look at it, and this is just me personally, like when Seth Rollins pulled off the greatest heist of the century, I feel like that elevates the cash in.
Right.
So you have Roman Reigns and The Rock have an absolute barn burner.
Right.
Beat the absolute piss out of each other. Roman becomes victorious.
Right.
Roman's donezo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have all of New Day come out. You have Xavier and Kofi take out the Usos. Big E smack Roman in the head with that briefcase. Cash that in 1, 2, 3.
Right.
And you start on that next year. Like, that's something you could bring all the way to Mania because you have the belts. And then you could have the tag team belts even in there. Like,
Right.
I've always been a big fan of a faction holding all 3 belts and the whole
I'm
rest of the company
huge
going
fan-
after them.
like,
You know what I mean?
Like in NXT when Undisputed Era had all the belts.
Oh, absolutely.
Great. Love it. I love when that
even
happens.
when we were kids, when NWO had all the belts, like it's awesome. Like, because it's not just like even though they got the one main faction they're going against, it's everybody else. And like somebody gets hurt or you got to call an audible on what storyline. It's easier to do that when you have one versus everybody kind of thing.
Right.
Like, and even like with the New Day, say Kofi gets hurt. Then all of a sudden, Big E can fill in on that tag team spot. You know what I mean?
They can.
Like,
they can be
co-champions.
Yeah.
Like, and that's something that's awesome. And something I found very, very interesting, and it shows the difference between the talent between AEW and WWE. There's an interview with Kurt Angle coming out of retirement.
Okay.
And Kurt Angle said, if they paid me $10 million, I would do one more match. And do you know who he said he would wrestle?
No.
Kenny Omega.
Okay.
And that just, again, that says to me, Kurt Angle, somebody who's been doing this for a very, very long time, who can see the difference between the talent. Like, don't get me wrong, WWE's got talent, but they don't have the full packages like a lot of the more established guys that AEW does. And I think it speaks volumes that Kurt Angle's like, yeah, I would do one more. I'd come out of retirement. You know, they pay me the money, but I'd want to wrestle him.
Yeah.
Not Vince. And, like, you got to think, too, Kurt Angle's one of the guys that just got cut from WWE.
Right.
Like,
and it might not even be that, but it's like he's all the great people that he would have to wrestle on WWE, he has wrestled.
Right.
He wrestled AJ Styles in TNA more than, like, any one person has wrestled AJ Styles in WWE since he's been there. You know what I mean? Like, they had epic matches.
Brock Lesnar started his career wrestling. Angle. Like, it's... Kurt Angle was a member of the Shield for one match. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's done everything he can. And, like, like, it just... I don't know. Like, it's... AEW, the way they're running stuff, how they're doing cross-promotional and everything, and, like, it's a way better business plan. Like, it opens up your audience. And it's something that I can co-sign on.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I've been a WWE guy since they're WWF, and like it's just sad the state of affairs right now.
Yeah.
And like WWE is always going to make superstars, regardless if we want. Like whoever they get behind, if it doesn't work, there's the next guy in line. Everybody wants to be part of that big show. No pun intended.
Right.
But
it's the show. It's, welcome to the show.
Right. It's everybody who's put that time in. It just bugs me that they're okay with just discarding them in such a way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like I can't believe all the cuts they're making, unless some of them have been strategic, kind of like the Joe one.
I think, and then bringing them back,
and then bringing them back in and be like, listen, we're going to publicly release you, and then re-sign you at the, re-sign you at your 3 months,
And like I noticed during this week too, it was like when Alexa Bliss had her match against Doudrop.
Okay, like
the whole entire time, all you hear is we want Wyatt, we want Wyatt, like, and
the stupid doll thing.
See, I like it. I like that whole. I like that whole supernatural stuff. I like that.
I can't get into it. I love supernatural stuff, but it's like
the whole Firefly Funhouse.
It's like the camera turn. Like there's no camera facing the doll. They did
I
that
like
at an
it.
earlier time, and it winks, and like Dewdrop's just like looking at it with big.
I like it.
Oh,
I
don't like it at all.
I think it's a great continuation of that, and like I think Alexa's killing it with that. Like,
I think she does great at it. I think
and it really just shows
she's
her
doing fine with the
range
shtick. It's
over,
fine,
over her career, her range, like from going from heel to face to antihero to whatever the hell she is now. Like it's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, she's quite possibly the best mean girl that there is. You know, like
Absolutely.
so. So let's get to this week's top 5 here real quick. This week we're actually going to be doing best finisher upgrades.
Yeah.
And what we mean by that is, a wrestler went from, a finisher that they used to a much better finisher, maybe even their most signature thing, period. So why don't you lead us off with your number 5?
My number 5 would be the heart attack
Okay.
to the sharpshooter.
Okay.
So when Bret Hart was a tag team with Jim the Anvil, one half was Bret Hart would do a clothesline to it, and like that was their move. But who remembers the heart attack? I vaguely remember the heart attack.
Yeah. What? Now that you say it, I remember it.
But
what is
Bret Hart
about it?
What's Bret Hart known for?
Sharpshooter.
The sharpshooter all day, baby.
Yeah.
Like and like that. That's the signature for him. Like you can't. Even though heart attack is a great name for a finisher, and like honestly, that probably could have been the name of the sharpshooter if they hadn't already used heart attack. But like that was a complete upgrade for me.
Yeah, sharpshooter is the best name for that move, anyways. I mean, it's just, have you ever been in a sharpshooter? It sucks.
I think anybody who lived through the Bret Hart era has been in a sharpshooter.
It's terrible. My number 5 was actually Triple H. Pretty much like right when he came into WWE, he went from the cutter to the pedigree, and it's the pedigree is just such a great move, and like it's he did a cutter fine. It just didn't suit him. You know what I mean? Didn't suit him. It didn't suit the character, and even when he was that aristocratic character, the cutter or the pedigree's just. It felt so much better as the cutter, or than the cutter. I mean,
I have a reverse on that. So as I'm thinking about all these, one of my downgrade ones that I was going to mention at the end was when Seth Rollins went from the curb stomp to the pedigree.
Yeah.
And it made sense storyline because he was part of Triple H's thing to go to pedigree. And I know. Behind the scenes, he was champ, and the last thing they wanted him was to go on Today's Show and be like, oh, yeah, I curb stomp people. So they changed it to the pedigree for when he was champ. But there was something about the Seth Rollins coming out, because that man's got ups, and just curb stomp.
Yeah.
And, one of my favorite curb stomps that he didn't complete was when he went to curb stomp Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and Orton caught that RKO
he went so high.
And that actually leads into my next one was the Ozone Randy Orton's old finisher to the RKO,
right? And
just a modified diamond cutter, modified stunner without the kick, and to take such a simple move,
just the style of adding a jump into it.
And just even the whole Apex Predator, the stalking behind it, and the fact that everybody knows RKO out of nowhere. There's memes. There's thousands of memes forever.
I like it out of nowhere more than the setup for it, like the snake setup.
Right.
Which I mean, it's cool. It's fine. Edge's setup, and a lot of people have the setup for their move, but the idea that it can even be pulled more out of nowhere than a stunner.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a stunner almost always has to have a kick.
Yeah, the stunner has to have that
to
kick
set
for
the guy. You know what I mean? You can do it without it, but you can literally hit the RKO out of absolutely anything.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. What'd you have for 4?
That actually was my 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was your 4.
The Ozone to RKO.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was your 4. My 4 is actually Michael's. So the teardrop, which was it's a good slam.
That was my
use.
2, the teardrop.
Yeah, but to the sweet chin music. I mean, because it's sweet chin music.
But the funny thing is, the sweet chin music was actually the setup. It was the setup.
It was in his arsenal anyways, and he just realized that this has more hype than anything else.
But that was the setup to the teardrop.
Yeah.
Because when with the teardrops, they were out,
Yeah.
and then he had to pick up the lifeless body and then do it. Forget all that.
You didn't need it.
All
you
you
got just kick him.
Again, it's just like the RKO. It's almost like out of nowhere. All of a sudden, boom. you're
Boom.
getting
Yeah,
booted
it's
across
the only
face.
other move that's that out of nowhere because like you two are standing there, he's coming at you, kick, and then you both fall. You know, it's great. How about 3?
I had the proto bomb
Okay.
to the AA.
Okay.
And I just think, because you and I were discussing this before we started recording,
Yeah.
the simplicity of the AA it just can show his strength
Right.
with John Cena. Like you say, you pick up the Big Show and then have Edge on top, and
Yeah.
then boom, toss them both.
Absolutely.
With the proto bomb, there's way too much going into it. It is a beautiful move.
Yeah. And technically more damaging
Absolutely.
than what the AA is, but the hype around it. You know, you
Right.
can pick up a guy and you can squat him and then you can do it.
Right.
You can pick him up and you can yell, but like you pick up a guy for a spinning power bomb,
Right.
you know. And plus, I mean, how many people used power bombs as a finisher at different times, and nobody really uses like a big time fireman's carry
Besides
slam,
Brock
you know what I
Lesnar
mean?
with the F5,
Yeah, but the
like-
F5, even that's stylized.
I mean, Brock's only
Completely
there
did.
3 days a year.
Yeah,
it doesn't
so,
matter.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
who-
never see it.
Who cares? My number 3 I actually had The Rock to go. So he used like the running shoulder breaker.
Right.
And then he started, obviously, it's more that he was using the rock bottom because he would use the people's elbow
Yep.
less, you know?
Yep.
But or a lot of times the rock bottom was done the setup, but then he was still just kind of like Michaels. A lot of times he would just finish people on the rock bottom.
Right. And
Which was,
I prefer the rock bottom
Yeah.
over the people's elbow because
Yeah.
the people's elbow, don't get me wrong, I love it.
Yeah.
But it's just like with Cena's the 5-finger, whatever it is.
yeah.
The fist
five
to
knuckle
do.
shuffle- the
Yeah,
five knuck-
five knuckle shuffle.
the five
that's
knuckle
right.
shuffle.
Like the whole, like basically same move, just one's an elbow and then one's the fist. It's too gimmicky for me.
It's too gimmicky. It was essentially like that decade's like Hogan leg drop. It's
Right.
like you know that's not finishing somebody, but he's doing it, so therefore it's more powerful.
But just like with the Sweet Chin Music and the RKO, you can get rock bottom at any time. He catches you right there, boom, like you're getting crushed. And like as undevastating as it is in real life, like like you hear that smack and everybody knows, like, oh, match could be over now.
Yeah. So for my 2, see, I had written the ozone to the punt kick.
Right.
To the RKO. So I went through the whole evolution of no pun intended, of them, you know. But what did you have it to?
2 was my teardrop.
2 was your teardrop, and then I think we might both. I'm gonna guess might both have the same.
You
number
went
one.
you went a little more in depth. You went all 3 levels. I went stun gun to the Stone Cold Stunner.
Okay,
You threw the $1 million.
Yeah, I kept it with WWE and the $1 Million Dream to the stunner because let's just face it, the stunner is the best finisher of all time.
Of all time. Like,
it's the best finisher of all time.
There is a picture.
So simple.
There was a picture with Donald Trump in office with the McMahons, and they're all meeting. And like there was like, I don't know, like 8 people in there or whatever. And like the caption was Stone Cold stunned every person in this picture. And
Yeah.
like it's true, like especially in that era, anybody who was on TV, anybody who was on TV at the time caught a stunner. Didn't matter if you're
every McMahon has caught a stunner.
Oh,
everyone.
absolutely.
Linda's caught a stunner.
Yeah, right.
They've all caught stunners.
Everybody's caught the stunner.
I'd pay money to catch a stunner.
Oh,
okay.
absolutely.
To be part of a list of people who've caught a stunner, yeah, I'd be in.
And I have it's an honorable mention on the other way because it's something that I hated that they did was when Bray Wyatt became the Fiend. Like he still used Sister Abigail, but they had him using the mandible claw all the time. And the mandible claw was perfect for Foley.
Yeah.
And like I get it, very, very similar characters, and they wanted to like change him up. But there's something about that Sister Abigail move that I absolutely love. The setup to it, the whole mystique behind it, and just to have him move to Mandible Claw and like try to recreate the whole early Mankind stuff. It just, again, that was another downgrade, very similar to the curb stomp downgrade to the pedigree, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely agree to that. It just seemed weird. You know, it was another Bray Wyatt killing thing that they did, you know, so.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that's going to be it for this week's show. So, yes, tune in next week for our very first episode of Movie Madness. It's going to be fantastic. And then catch us in 2 weeks here as we pick Wrestle Fandom Radio back up. We want to, again, thank our sponsors, Seasonal Sports, Rockin Horse Tattoo, and Dippin Donuts. You guys make the show happen. We couldn't do it without you. We very much appreciate it. Again, visit our store through Seasonal Sports and hook us up, hook yourself up.
Listen to all the shows on the D.
Yeah, listen to everything on the D, and I'm having another technical difficulty here. Where's Z? Z! Yeah. Can you come here, man? I'm having another... This is ridiculous. Like, look. See, what the hell is happening here? Oh!
Yeah! Yeah! Give me this cool
New champ.
right here, buddy. In your face, bitch. In your face.
Oh,
Belongs to me now.
Are you serious?
I'm the champ, Wrestle Fandom Radio. I'm the champ.
Oh, you guys are jerks. Oh.